Welcome to the Broken Agenda podcast, sponsored by Laughing Rock Technology.
I just like pulling a pin and lobbing it into your house and watching it explode.
Hey man, I dive on the grenades. Man.
You do. You dive. You show up and you're like, I don't know a thing about what we're talking about, but let's be awesome. And it works. Hello, everyone. It is September 22nd, and our topic today is energy, and specifically solar, because why not? I mean, solar's great. Energy's great. We like solar. I like solar. I don't know if you guys like solar.
I'm more of a wind energy guy.
Really?
Yeah.
Why?
No, I don't.
Oh, you'd be a smart ass. Got Jimmy. We got Tyler. I'm Craig. And we kind of started without you guys, so we apologize. But Jimmy, you were going through some stuff that you had brought. What else you got on that list? We talked about the great solar balloon caper, which I had never heard of that. I don't know. Was that recently or?
Probably within the last 10 years. I'm trying to remember exactly.
Oh, so this wasn't like 2 weeks ago.
No.
Okay.
This was a while ago. I remember watching like the replays on TV or something.
I've literally never heard of a solar balloon. I had no idea that was a thing. So
It seemed more like it was not like necessarily like a balloon like we're thinking of, and I thought at first maybe it was like a hot air balloon, but it looked like a solar. From the image that I saw, this is a horrible one to start out with because I didn't get to finish the. I was kind of hoping you guys maybe heard something about it.
So you brought a half-baked idea into our podcast.
It was the end of my. It's towards the end of my list, and so, but it looked like it was like if you built like a greenhouse in your backyard.
Okay.
It was like the solar balloon, sort of like some type of.
It does have solar
shelter.
panels on it. Like
I think I'm gonna go with it. It has something to do with like the material they make it with, like the windows.
Okay,
solar.
It just looks like a big trash bag.
Yeah.
Really is what it looks like.
So yeah,
Gotcha.
Tyler's got the Mac Daddy screen over there, so maybe he can, and I'm using DuckDuckGo. He's probably got Google Chrome on
he
there.
just pulled an end around on you. He
Yeah.
just went straight to the solar balloon.
Yeah, there you go.
Well, I mean, there's so many different things that are rocking solar right now. I mean, it's. I am not a huge fan of wind.
Yeah.
Wind is fine. But I mean, at least solar. The sun's coming up at a certain time every day. It's going down at a certain time every night. Yeah, clouds are an issue. There's definitely an intermittent thing to it, but short of being on a mountain or out on the ocean or being in a high wind area, I mean, wind is sketchy at best.
Yeah.
So
I don't really like wind just because it breaks up the landscapes. Because like you said, it's typically on a mountain. So you got this nice landscape, and all of a sudden you have this big windmill just hanging out.
And then you have
the first time I ever saw them, I thought they were cool.
I mean, yeah.
Or if you have them and they take up an entire mountainside.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a little crazy.
That is a little crazy. Well, I mean, one of the big pushes right now, though, is a lot of people are against solar and wind because of exactly that. There are a lot of land issues going on. I mean, these solar farms and land is getting more and more in demand as we keep making people. I'm guilty of it. I made a person.
Yeah.
And these solar farms are just they're acreage killers.
Yeah.
So, and then the argument always goes to the same place, which is, some hipster idiot saying, well, if you put 100 miles worth of solar panels by 100 miles squared in the middle of the Texas desert, you could power the United States forever. And to which I replied, that's the dumbest crap I've ever heard in my life. So, I mean, technically it's true. It'll make that much power, but we don't all live in Texas. And have you ever tried to fire electricity across the United States?
I have not.
Yeah, nobody has, because it doesn't work. It doesn't like that.
I tried to fire electricity out my butt. That didn't work either.
What?
I thought if I put my finger in a socket, maybe
It would come out your ass?
Yeah, but it didn't do that.
Like a cartoon? Like a lightning
Yeah.
would shoot out?
Or like my whole body would light up, like Tom and Jerry.
I mean, I think we can make it work. We should try again.
I think it was Tom and Jerry.
Don't I have an extension cord down there?
Yeah, there is one.
This is the show. That's fine. I mean, you good? You can use my bottle opener.
There's plastic. We need more metal.
Just run it in there.
That's true. That's insulated.
Insulated, yep.
Well, we'll figure something out.
Oh, we got some.
We'll get some. Well, look, all you need to worry about is that we will electrocute Jimmy.
Yeah, we'll do that to close the show.
We'll get it done. and God help you if electricity doesn't shoot out of your butt.
Yeah, yeah.
You will disappoint all three of our
I
fans.
know.
So, hi, Mom. No, that's a big issue. I mean, I got this whole thing. I got way too many notes here. I was treating this like my own personal notepad.
Yeah.
It's a lot of this. I don't know. Does anybody even care about this stuff?
Yeah, let's start and let's go through how you organized it.
Well, I mean, because I'm a big fan of solar, but I have a lot of problems with solar. I mean, the land use issues, not one of my biggest issues, but they're real. I mean, and that's going to be a problem if you keep pushing solar. Environmental issues, there's a lot of environmental issues with solar right now.
How so?
A lot of heavy elements are used to make panels,
Okay.
and we don't have a method really for recycling solar panels.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there was a story, I don't know, I tried to find it in my show prep. I had heard the story from a reputable source, and I could not find the story in my show prep. But a whole town, I believe, in Germany. Germany's doing amazing things with solar. They've been pushing it very hard. I'm not a huge fan of governmental mandates on construction, but whatever. If all personal feelings aside, they've been reasonably successful at pushing solar onto buildings, new residential construction, new commercial construction, and just mandating that there's got to be some sort of solar on the buildings. And there's some pretty good success going on with it. But they started it 8 years ago. Solar has come so far in 8 years that the panels they put in the beginning of this were completely out of date by 2018.
Yeah.
I always wondered, that's one of the big things. I don't know if we talked about that on the last show. These people are putting these solar, $30,000, $50,000, $60,000 worth of solar panels on their house.
Yeah.
And then they're getting a loan, and then these loans are transferable. So now when you sell your house, you've got a $60,000 solar panel bill that's going along with it that you have to assume.
Yeah, I think you brought this up at the last show, right?
I think so.
It might have been.
Yeah.
I think we
after-
touched on it, and then we said,
Oh, it might
well,
have been after, you're
talked
right.
after, yeah.
then we said, well, we'll do a solar episode.
Yeah, which I think at that point, now you just got to roll it into your new mortgage.
Yeah,
Now
so
you're buying a $300,000 house, but you're paying $350,000 for it to cover the solar loan, which is essentially a lien against your house, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you're
Yeah.
it's like a second mortgage.
I'm really not seeing how that makes sense. You're really creating a negative scenario to resell your home.
Well, look, I mean, here's the thing. There's a couple instances where it makes sense. So for one, obviously, if you can pay cash and you're not taking a loan, it may or may not make sense. Now, me as a financial guy, do I want to tie up $60,000 in solar panels when I can have that money doing work for me? I mean, I don't know. That's kind of, some would say it is doing work for you by generating power, and I don't know. But the other thing is, if you know you're going to stay on that property, it's not necessarily a bad investment. If you know, let's say you just had a kid, and this is the school district you always wanted to be in, and you're planning on having more kids, and I'm tied to this property for the next 20 years, I don't know that it's necessarily a bad idea. You better love your house.
Yeah.
I mean, the average person stays in their house 7 years. That's
Yes.
like the average statistic.
Which is why most people don't make a lot of long-term plans in their houses. Because people don't stick around.
Yeah.
So
I just can't see how you. I mean, I don't know what the contracts include when they do that. I guess I'd like to know more about it.
I will say I got it.
So you know what we should do? We should ask the audience to send us information if you got solar panels on your house.
Yeah, please do.
Send us information about your contract and how that all works. That way we could.
I got a quote to put solar on the office building, and it was about $120,000. And it would have negated my electricity bill, which is what they said. I don't know how that's possible because we've got equipment running in there 24/7.
Yeah.
So at night, I don't know how they were going to completely negate my electric bill when servers and stuff are running in the office building, but they claimed they would have. My guess is batteries. But then how often do I have to replace the batteries?
Were you talking to somebody that was just a kind of, fly-by
No, this
guy?
is a solar
installer?
company.
Well, I know, but some of those guys, I don't know.
Is there some
I
feedback?
don't know if they really know. Like, did they really know your electricity usage? I guess I should have asked you that before you even make the assumption.
Yeah, I will say their process was they had me send them an electric bill.
Okay.
And I think they had me 2 months worth of electric bills, and they just used Google Maps to look at my roof and see which way it was oriented and everything else. So they didn't even come
based
out and
on the
look at it.
square footage, they figured what they can generate.
based on usage and based on the square footage of the roof. And then they basically said, do you want to cover 50%, 75%, or 100% of your electric
And then,
bill?
okay, and then
They figured out how
allocated.
many panels they would need based on an east-west orientation on the roof, which that's another big thing. If you're not facing south, you're immediately starting short. I mean,
Yeah.
because in the north at least. I mean, if you're down in southern Florida, it probably doesn't make much of a difference.
Yeah.
But up here, we're in Pennsylvania, so the sun is always to the south of you, always. Even in the dead of summer, it's dead of summer. Is that a thing?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Dog days. Yeah.
Dog days of summer. Even in the dog days, it sounds weird too.
No,
I know it's right.
Dog days of summer.
But I mean, it's still to your south. It's always going to be to your south. So if your house isn't facing the south, you're catching shade at some point, or you're not getting optimal sunlight. And if it's east-west, at
Unless you
some
have a-
point
unless
your
you have a
sun's dropping
rotating
below the ridge of your roof.
unless you have a rotating mechanism.
Unless you have a rotating mechanism, which those are cool. Have you seen those sunflower ones? They look like satellite dishes.
Uh-uh.
I don't know if they work great, but they look cool.
Yeah.
So they actually close at night.
Oh,
So
yeah.
they fold up like a flower. Like all the panels are all petals, and it folds up and then folds in on itself.
Yeah.
And then it has a little photovoltaic sensor. And as soon as it detects the sun in the morning,
Opens up.
it lifts up and opens itself up and starts generating power, and it follows the sun all day long. I don't know, it's kind of neat.
That's kind of cool.
I mean, probably insanely expensive.
Yeah.
So, but it looked cool. So, no, I don't know. So I have a lot of problems with solar in general. I mean, I don't know. I mean, are you guys, either one of you like solar crazy?
I'm not crazy. I mean, I'm crazy, but I'm not solar crazy.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, all right, so it doesn't sound like we have a solar nut on our panel here.
No,
Okay.
like I've researched it, but it's too much of an investment.
I mean,
the cheapest I've actually seen is Tesla.
they're the cheapest you've seen.
That's what
Cheapest.
so far. Now, granted, it's been a while since I've actually researched it. It's the most recent one. They were like 30 or 40,000
For regular panels or for the solar roof?
Well, I know somebody that got
The
panels
solar
installed for
roof.
half the price of their neighbor who got Tesla panels, and it was 30 grand, and they paid 15.
Well, now, yeah, but then the next question is the quality of panels.
I don't know.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's a huge range of quality of panels. And I know Teslas are considered like A-rated panels. They're
Yeah.
top of the end. They're going to last 40 years. They're really good panels. So what I love is I love the solar roof. I think the solar roof is awesome.
Yeah, and I think that's when I was looking at, because you could just go, they had like a quote tool or whatever,
Yeah.
go on your square footage, and here's what it costs for the battery bank or whatever, and then all the panels and stuff.
Well, the power wall and the batteries and everything is half the cost.
Yeah, yeah,
I mean, those things are
Yeah.
not cheap.
yeah,
So, and you cannot really install that yourself, and you have to have them come out and do it.
Yeah.
They're just going to ship it to you and be like, good luck, Sparky.
yeah.
So,
Did I tell you that, guys, this last time? I think like the way we should start designing solar roofs is like integrating green roof and solar roof and make designs. So you
that
put,
would be super cool.
I think that would be sweet. You put like half green roof, and then you have like instead of just squared block panels, it's like a swirled design. Maybe if you'd add like a swirl in your roof, or that'd be sweet.
That would be sweet.
What do you mean by
That'd be
green roof?
Like
the one with plants and stuff? Yeah.
But you have to have, I guess, a certain slope. And most, I guess, most house roofs, the slope is a little hard. But I was thinking, well, if you made a grid, like they make grids to mount solar panels, why couldn't they make a grid to mount?
Now, what's
The plants.
What's the advantage for
I
the
mean-
green roof instead of just putting solar panels over the whole thing?
Well, the green roof is to down your energy usage. The green roof just doesn't attract it. It's like putting grass on your roof. You walk on your lawn, it's not, you know what I mean? It's like having ground, and it just stays cool
Yeah, so there's
naturally.
some level of insulation there.
Yeah, I mean, it just keeps it from, getting hot. Any kind of roof surface or roof material. Like when I did energy efficient roof restoration, you go from a black roof to a white roof, you're reducing the roof surface temperature about 70 degrees.
It's never made sense to me. Why do they use black roofs? I
It's
mean,
just the way things started out, I guess.
to try to
It's foolish.
provide heat in the winter?
No, because you don't get no benefit from that. The heat doesn't drop.
Yes,
The only-
it'll just sit there and okay.
So they would say, oh well, you don't get any benefit in the winter when the snow's up there. Well, you don't get benefit from a black roof until the black shows in the winter. So as soon as the black shows and the sun's out, then that thing just heats up and obliterates the rest of the snow that's on there. Did I say that right?
No.
Obliterate? Obliterate.
There's not a
Obliterate.
TH in there.
Man, I don't know how to say it.
It's, now I feel like
Obliviate. Obliterate.
I'm not getting involved.
Whatever the word is.
Destroy.
Yeah. I'm going to go with obliterate.
It was on the calendar today. Word of the day.
So,
It's like I want to work it into the pie.
but you can't even literally touch the roof surface when it's black.
Oh
mean,
yeah.
if I put
you're
a
talking
white-
about like a flat roof surface, like a
Yeah. I mean, even shingles.
even
I mean,
asphalt. Yeah, you're right.
I
That
could
stuff
lay-
gets so hot.
I could lay on a white roof and sunbathe naked.
That's gross.
No, yeah,
I mean, do you, man?
yeah.
Super,
but
super
it's a
gross.
big difference. So anyway, a green roof is supposed to be actually, I mean, white reflects the heat, so that stays cool. I don't know the roof surface temperature of green, but soil stays cool. So I think it adds another layer. I never really compared the two. I just thought it'd be awesome to, like make a design of plants and
Well,
integrate some sweet panels.
I knew a contractor who probably about 30 years ago was building mud huts. I mean, you've ever heard of those?
Yeah.
Okay, so basically build them into a hill. I mean, it was like a hobbit home.
Yeah.
Like it's all mud and dirt built into a. So they would either build up a mound and then build your house into it, or they would pick a natural mound and just excavate out and then just build your house. But they were awesome. They didn't go anywhere. Nobody wanted them, and now they're coming back. So I mean, it might have been a man ahead of his time.
Yeah.
But they were crazy looking. Like it would just be like two windows and a door in a hill with trees on it,
Yeah.
and it was like, this is bananas. Like you're literally living like a hobbit.
Well, it's like a geothermal kind of situation.
Yeah,
to be
absolutely.
like underground like that, or have natural,
I feel like you'd have a lot of bugs
I
and
don't
maybe
know.
worms.
I don't know. I mean, that was a preservation method. You had root cellars before refrigeration.
And they definitely have a lot of bugs.
You probably, yeah, but you take steps to mitigate that.
Inside your house, you mean?
Yeah,
They'd be like sneaking in all kinds of.
I don't like bugs in my house.
I mean, you get bugs already.
I'm sure they were putting something on the inside walls to block.
Yeah, you're
Like a
probably right.
plaster.
You're probably right.
Like a plaster of some sort.
I've never been inside one though. I kind of wanted to, like, in my mind, and I know this wasn't the case, but it's probably all concrete and then like drywalled.
Yeah.
I envisioned mud.
Mud.
Like that's what in my mind. That's what I saw. It was like kind of like a hybrid between like a coal mining tunnel
Yeah.
and like Frodo Baggins' house. Like it was like that's what I know that wasn't true, but I couldn't get it out of my head. So that's what I always saw when I thought about it.
Or like a hole in the dirt, maybe.
Just a hole in the dirt.
Yeah.
No
With a
plumbing. No nothing.
It reminded me of a foxhole.
Upside down foxhole.
Yeah,
That's-
well, like a foxhole in the military. We dig out holes and get in there and
Yep.
yeah,
It's.
rifle up and protect and serve.
I feel like you're not understanding what his core market was.
I think we should broadcast live from a mud hut at some point.
Have to find one.
We gotta
huh?
find one. They're not around anymore. They're passe.
Passe.
So they're not around anymore. I think they'll come back.
Yeah, I would see him coming back.
I feel like they'll do it with a twist though. It'll be like skinny jeans. Like they'll bring them back, but they'll be like 2 buttons now instead of 1 or something. Like they'll bring it back, but it'll be like tiny mud hut living.
I think they're
Well,
popular like in Ireland and Scotland.
No, I
and
see.
certain places.
I think you're just being a bigot. I think you just because that feels wrong.
No, I think
It feels like once again.
I
you're
think if
Frodo
you look
Baggins.
them up, I think you'll find that they're like in specific areas.
No, you're probably right.
New Zealand.
I mean, I've looked at them before, and they're always in. I can't remember. I don't want to say for sure that it's Ireland, but it is some kind of.
No,
Place like
that
that.
does sound right. Places where it's very green and muddy. Yeah, I agree. Anyway, moving on from mud huts. So here's the real thing about solar, which is the number one thing we're looking at. How does it stack up against other stuff? So, because I don't think you can't run just solar. And you can, right? I mean, unless batteries significantly increase in storage and capacity and efficacy, whatever.
Efficacy.
Efficacy. Thank you. We're messing up the words left and right here. I mean, how the heck are you going to make it through the night? I mean, your refrigerator's going to shut off at 2 o'clock in the morning. We do not have the battery ability right now. I mean,
But wouldn't you have a
I thought
lower
you have,
power
like-
consumption at night? Because you're not necessarily running
They make.
lights. And
I was looking on Amazon and I saw they're making panel systems now that just have batteries, and these systems have 7 days of power for your house.
get out of here.
Yeah, I just looked at them the other day. That was one of. I wanted to save that link. I don't know if I saved the link.
Okay, so
Yeah,
that
go on
kinda
Amazon and
changes
check
things.
them out. I was gonna say, I think that you actually do store. I mean, I think it's more than like get you through a day. I don't know,
Well, 7 days, that's enough. I mean,
Yeah.
if you don't have sun for 7 days,
but that's not even a
Move.
house. Like I would think the houses are storing, like able to store. I guess it depends on the batteries.
well, and it depends
How
on,
many
on
batteries
the, on
you
the
have.
draw too. I mean, how much stuff are you running? So
Yeah, I mean,
like
it's
my
probably
office is going to need a hell of a lot more batteries.
Yeah.
than your house.
they probably have whatever the power. It's probably I'm guessing, to run do some basic functions, keep your fridge going, use
Well,
so much electricity.
Now, are you talking
so-
about emergency power? Because you're going to need batteries at night no matter what if you're running a solar.
Are you
house.
looking those up, Tyler?
I was looking to see what Tesla claimed theirs could do with their
okay.
solar roof.
Let's see. I know Amazon has. Let's see. Solar set. Let's call it a solar set. See if that comes up.
Because that would be amazing if, I don't know how they're even doing that. I mean, what are they, packing lithium-ion
Let's
batteries
see.
in there? I mean,
All right, here it is. It's $3,000.
okay.
It's
Now, does it
Generac. Is it Generac? Is the company?
No idea.
Okay, so
Generac, yeah.
yeah, Generac solar generator for homes, portable power station, backup battery and solar panel power generator, 1,000 to 2,000 watts at 110 volts, up to 7 days of emergency power
Okay,
supply.
yeah, that's not going to run a house.
Okay, so
1,000
what
to
does that do?
2,000. I mean, you're going to be charging phones, running a computer,
Mm-hmm.
laptop. Like that's not a whole house battery pack.
Yeah, if they're
7
calling
days.
if it's specified as emergency, then it's just critical
Okay,
type
so
things.
And there's a lot of those out there.
Yeah,
like a lot
it's,
of
it's a generator.
Yeah,
rechargeable solar generators, which
Yeah.
those things are great.
Yeah.
so how many
Right.
watts do you need to run a house? I mean,
Depends on the house.
you'd have to keep your refrigerator going, so it says for homes. Like
If
you'd think-
refrigerator's a high amp device. Freezers even more than refrigerators because
Mm-hmm.
you don't want your stuff going.
It would almost,
Rotten.
wouldn't it almost be a case by case type thing?
It,
based on your
it would
consumption?
be, but even if you take an average consumption, is there even a battery out there that can do it for? I mean, first of all, my first question is there anyone out there that can consistently carry you through the night, or do you have to have supplementary power? So, because everybody I know who has solar panels is running supplementary power. They have a hook up to the grid. They might sell power back during the day if they're overproducing.
Yeah.
But then it's coming back to them at night, being produced by coal or
whatever.
nuclear or whatever's being used in their town. So I don't know anybody that's running pure solar. Period. And I definitely don't know anybody that's claimed they can get 7 days. So I don't know that exists either.
Who has solar that you know that you talk to?
A couple people down in the neighborhood below me have put solar panels on their roof. There's a guy 2 roads over who covered his entire roof. It actually looks kind of cool. He did a good job. They're running completely neutral during the day, but I asked him about nighttime, and he goes, "No, at night, if we have the air conditioning running and it's a hot night, it's going to flip over." And they did do a Tesla Powerwall, and he said it's pretty amazing because it handles everything. It'll maximize the efficiency, when to flip over. The whole thing is automated, but he's like, yeah, we can't. Maybe in the winter, when you're not running electric really that much. That's still, because he didn't even tell me. I mean, he's only got emergency battery backups.
So it looks like here it says you take well here's one where it's your refrigerator's demand of 800 watts. You divide it or multiply it by 8 and get 6,400 watts per day. Divided by 1,000 to get 6.4 kilowatt hours. The average American charged 12. So what is that? So what did we say? What was 1,000 watt?
1,000 watt. So
How do they even make the claim that that's a house?
no, what they're claiming is it's an emergency generator so that you can recharge your phones and so that you can keep your computers and if you have a radio so that you can use all of that stuff. It's not supposed to be for, if you want a generator, you're going to want to buy like a Honda or like a real generator that's going to run off of propane, gasoline, whatever, kerosene, whatever you like to run on. And then you're going to want to hook it up into your house just like your solar panels. It's the exact same thing. But just instead of it automatically feeding power in during the day when the sun's out, it kicks in when the rest of your power goes out. So, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. That would be a plan if you're running solar panels with a generator. But even still, then why don't you just hook up to the grid?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean,
Then you're just, well, I guess that's backup. Power goes out, then you can use the generator.
yeah, which big fan of generators. I'm a huge fan.
So so I wonder I wonder what the average system puts in reserves.
What do you mean?
Well, if you can sell it back to the grid, obviously you got to be producing more than what you would need a day. Some systems have to, because I mean that's one of the selling features, right?
Yep.
That you're going to produce more, and then you're going to sell your excess back into the grid.
I just want to be very clear. Every single, I've talked to 4 people that have solar panels. Every single one of them has said they never get anything back. Like the selling back thing never works.
It never works.
No, and they all said the same thing. They're like, we were promised the moon, and it never happened. So I would probably say toss that out as part of your analysis, because everybody seems to agree that it's crap. Or I guess they pay you nickels on the dollar too when you sell it back. Like it's a terrible gig, and you don't really produce that much power. And they always size it for your house. So
I read an article, I don't know if it was Europe, where they had done like a countrywide solar implementation, and something happened where the solar panels they just wore out, and they had all these solar panels they had to like get rid of, rip off houses.
I think that was part of the German story.
Oh, was that Germany?
That was Germany.
Okay.
And Germany's still doing it. They're still pushing solar hard. I mean, you've got France, who is just loving on nuclear. And those guys are nuclear crazy. And I personally am a big nuclear fan, especially the new modern nuclear.
Isn't it? It's just cleaner, right?
Unless
nuclear is almost spotless clean.
It's just you're using a non-renewable resource.
Yes. Well, I mean, you've got your pyramid of power here. And I'll run through this real quick. But like the basic way to make energy is just go burn some wood. Like that's it. But burning wood is actually a terrible way. This is the way a lot of like basic societies do it. They go out and they cut down trees, they burn it to stay alive because it's cold. So that's how Europe got deforested. So basically during the Middle Ages and the Renaissance, they just burned all their trees because they were growing and they needed energy.
Yeah.
So you got wood, whatever. We don't use that in the U.S., but you've got a lot of issues in like Brazil and some developing countries in Africa and some other places where they're having wild deforestation issues because people don't have any resources, but they need to cook food, they need to boil water, they need to stay warm, so they just cut down all the trees. Then you get into type 2. So type 2 is the one that everybody hates. That's the dirty non-renewables. So it's so dirty, Jimmy. So dirty. So that's oil and coal. We all know about oil and coal. They're not, and don't beat me up on the podcast about the fact that clean burning coal and clean burning oil. I know about those. The word dirty non-renewables doesn't mean it's always dirty. It just means that compared to some of the others, it emits more pollution. It emits more carbon. It's a lot of the things that people don't like about it. It is heavy in those items. Then you got non-renewable clean energy. Now this is type 3. I call it type 3A. So type 3A, non-renewable clean energy. This is nuclear. So it's non-renewable, like you said. But it is clean. And I guarantee you somebody will say, but what about the nuclear waste? Well, first of all, the nuclear waste issue is not nearly as bad as people have made it out to be. The second thing is that modern nuclear plants, the problem we have with nuclear plants right now is, in the U.S. at least, we haven't built a new nuclear plant in, 40 years?
Yeah, I don't even know.
And some of them are like 60 years old. And we're running some insanely old technology for some insanely,
Well, how old's Limerick?
complicated tech stuff. What's that?
How old's Limerick?
Limerick was probably built in the 70s, maybe the 80s.
Is Limerick the same as Peach Bottom?
I don't know what that is.
Peach Bottom's another nuclear plant.
Is that? Well, I know there's
You had 3 Mile Island.
3
which is
Mile
no
Island's out in
longer-
Harrisburg.
It's not operational.
No, they shut that down.
Shut that down. It's Peach Bottom.
I don't know Peach Bottom, but probably they're probably the same design. There's a
Probably,
whole
yeah.
bunch of them in like the 70s. It all
The
went up.
big reactors.
Yes.
Yeah.
They don't do that anymore. In fact, modern nuclear, we don't do it in the U.S. anymore, which is a shame. But they sell them all over the world. This awesome group of engineers developed a nuclear reactor that literally, it's like the shape of a pill, can never melt down, doesn't create waste, doesn't even have any visible output except electricity. You drop it in the ground, you cover it in dirt, you can even build on top of it. This thing doesn't care. And it just uses uranium pellets that are stable uranium pellets, drops them into a reactor chamber, creates power. When it's done, it self-seals for 10,000 years.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, these things are, you could literally get off coal if you were willing to utilize, these types of reactors. And it can use dirty fuel too. It doesn't need the highly refined uranium because it's so stable.
Yeah.
So it just needs the radioactive particles. So you've got non-renewable clean energy. I always include this because I think that any strategy, if you want a clean energy grid that is consistent and reliable, has to include nuclear. In my mind, this is just me. Then you got renewable natural energy. Now, I love renewable natural energies, but you can only do them where you can do them. That's like hydroelectric, geothermal, stuff like that. That stuff's all great. And then you got your green energy. So that's kind of your pyramid.
What was the one you said? What was that list?
You got
The one before.
the dirties,
No, the one you said natural
natural energy. That's geothermal, hydroelectric, stuff like that.
hydro. Is that's with water,
Yes, that's like
like
dams.
waves and stuff.
No,
They're
well,
doing something with ocean waves.
Oh no, they've got some cool stuff going on. My favorite was Google wanted to build an underwater data center that was self-powered. They never did it.
No,
They did test.
I would say I think Microsoft tested it as well.
Yes, they both tried it out, but it was a cool concept. It was
Yeah.
basically like concrete, not concrete. It was like reinforced boxcars,
Yeah.
and they dropped them in there, and the movement from the ocean powered turbines that powered the servers, and they just had cables running out and connecting to the grid.
Yeah.
Well, that's interesting. That puts a whole new spin on ancient ruins under the water in the ocean. So
You think ancient Google was dropping them down there?
possibly.
Well, we all know it's mer people. Okay,
Atlantis is real.
The
Yeah, Atlantis is real.
The Incas built data servers.
they were big on solar.
They built
they were
servers in the
hydroelectric.
ocean.
There they were. And the Incas. They
They're
were
far
Machu
enough.
Picchu. They were in the mountains. Man.
That's not far enough back.
No, far enough back. But I like where your head's at.
Atlantis was it Atlantis?
That was Atlantis. That's
That was Googleba that built that one.
all right. So so is Atlantis real?
Yeah.
So now the question is, was it actually a data server?
Well, yeah.
Storage
there
built
was a mass
in the
casualty
ocean.
event that wiped out all the technology
Yeah.
and forced man to start over again.
Yeah, the turbines went out and they had a breach of water, and it flooded.
Were the aliens involved?
They were the original beings. They're the ones who brought us here, monitored us. I used to watch all those shows.
Okay. We need to have like an ancient alien
Ancient
special.
aliens.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And then, but is it? Do we title it Ancient Aliens or do we title it?
We would probably get some copyright.
No, yeah, we can't call it
takedowns.
ancient aliens. We'll call it
Call
like
it really
like,
old aliens.
like the broken extraterrestrial, and the mic will come up.
Well, do we take the approach that this is ancient, barbaric civilizations or ancient sophisticated?
I would argue that we're in a barbaric civilization right now.
Yeah.
Have you ever been on Facebook?
Yeah.
It's a crap show out there.
We're the remnants of the previous advanced civilization.
Yeah, we really let them down. What are you gonna do? I mean,
That's why we haven't seen them in a long time. just
We're
so
getting there
disappointed.
though. We're
every once in a while
getting
they come back and they're just like, crap.
Yeah. Where did we go wrong?
It's like going back to Neptune, or wherever the hell they're from.
there. We're
Pretty
making
sure it's
our,
not Neptune.
No.
we're making our way back.
Well, we're way past our timers. Let's take our break. So we'll be back.
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to see if it at some of these.
I think the one I just
Well,
read
let's
was
talk about
helium.
this on camera because we're back. All right. So what do you find about the solar balloons? We're back on solar balloons. I'm so sorry, but we're fascinated by these things.
So some of what I'm seeing is they're not necessarily run off of helium, but they run on the same principle as a hot air balloon.
So that thing's gonna come down at night.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. But I like yours. So you said who's running the emergency solar balloons? Is anybody running them, or is that just a concept?
Okay, balloon could bring. Okay, so this is zones moored. Let me see what organization.
Okay, that's all right. I was just curious if it was like FEMA was like throwing them out there, or like the Navy was putting them in Haiti, like here, have some power, and floating it over their tents.
Yeah.
I always loved
Oh, listen to this.
the idea of what's up?
Listen to this. Just add water. The Zephyr. So this is the Zephyr. Has an electrolyzer on board that uses 9 liters of water to produce hydrogen to inflate.
Okay, that's kind of cool.
That's kind of what I'm reading. There's someone just did some research to produce electricity, direct electricity, and hydrogen with the balloons.
That's pretty cool. All right, so we got some neat stuff going on here. Well, I always loved water as a battery. It was always one of my favorite things. Water. So you use electrical current to ionize the water. You split it into oxygen and hydrogen.
Yeah.
And then you store it in storage tanks. And then when you need power, you recombine it, and it creates electricity and water.
Didn't they make a vehicle that did that same type of thing?
I believe they did.
I think so. I
So-
feel like that's how I learned about that.
But I mean, it's a great storage medium, although it's a little volatile. I mean, you got liquid oxygen, liquid hydrogen in your house. I mean,
yeah.
that's probably not safe, but I mean, you can make it safe, I guess. Maybe not me,
smoking.
but somebody. Yeah, don't smoke for the love of Pete.
So you sound like you understand the hydrogen, the water converting to hydrogen. How's that work?
How does what work? Actually combining them?
Yeah.
Well, you just use electrical current to either,
So how do you produce hydrogen with water?
well, water is H2O, so you're going to split the oxygen off of the two hydrogen atoms.
It is hydrogen.
Dihydrogen monoxide.
That's what water is.
Two
Two
hydrogen,
hydrogens,
one
one
oxygen.
oxygen. So, and
Okay.
if you run electrical current through it, it will separate the hydrogen from the water, from the oxygen. And then you'll have free-flowing hydrogen atoms, and you'll have a free-flowing oxygen atom.
So then does that mean it stays up at night?
I mean, only if you haven't done a good job of teaching it how to go to bed.
Well, no, you said that we said that if you use, what did you say that the solar was?
I don't know what's happening anymore.
Yeah. So you said the solar was lifting the balloon, the hot air.
Oh, you're talking
Right.
about balloons
So then-
still.
balloons,
Yeah, we
Okay.
abandoned balloons.
Yeah,
we're on to new stuff.
We're talking
Okay,
about
but this balloon uses that technology to
hydrogen.
Okay, that's
Right.
pretty cool.
Yeah.
Well,
Okay.
that's what it's doing. Is that one's separating out the oxygen, probably getting rid of it and keeping the hydrogen for lift.
So, okay, so yeah, that's
So-
what I'm getting at. So this balloon will stay afloat through the evening time without.
Well, once you lose the sun, you lose the power
You
to
lose the
separate the
power to
hydrogen and the
yeah.
oxygen.
Okay.
So you better have enough hydrogen there to make it through the night. But you could.
In theory.
Yeah.
Huh.
I mean, I got to imagine the enemy of the solar balloon is wind. They're probably not
Yeah.
besties.
Need a couple
So-
tethers.
Man, this is
Yeah.
where I stopped my research.
No, that stuff's cool. I like
No,
those.
I wish I would have went deeper with this.
Well, I mean, and there's so many cool things going on. Like I love solar farms, not the ground-based solar farms like they've got at like your local hardware store. I don't know, but I mean like aerial solar farms or even better space-based solar farms.
Space.
There was a thing they had in SimCity, and I always wanted this to be real. And I've read people like trying to make it happen, but the microwave energy,
Yeah.
where they essentially collect just massive solar farms in space, and then they convert the solar energy into microwaves and fire it down to a receiving plant on the ground.
Yeah.
And I don't know enough to know whether or not it's even practical, but I love the idea. I think it's great. You just float those bad boys up there, and all I know is solar panels in space seem to last forever.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know, they're timeless.
Unless
Like Jimmy.
unless a piece of space debris hits them.
Well, then that's why you've got lots of them. You say, sucks to be you, crappy solar panel, and you go on to the other 847,000 you got up there.
See, we'd do that broken glass thing if we had that. If we had that.
If we had the
mixing
mixer
board.
board, bang, and then wah wah. Yeah. And then,
Yeah,
yeah, no, we'd have all the effects. We don't have any of
I
that.
feel like we don't need them.
that'd be sweet.
Well, I mean, I'm doing
idiots.
them.
We got 3 idiots.
Well, I mean, I don't mean to brag, but I'm basically like the guy from Police Academy.
Oh, gee.
So
I could just break a bottle.
he's gonna shank me. It's a good show, man. It didn't get that bad. You're
I
gonna,
can bring a box and a hammer. Just do it over here. You know?
just waiting for Jimmy to be like, snitches get stitches. That's game on.
Yeah, we'd just do it real. We'd be real in this place.
Don't be that real. I'm too old for that. I don't know. What do you guys think about biomass? Like,
Biomass, like you know,
I mean, like ethanol or like making
Yeah.
and they like pig crap. Like they love making pig crap into fuel. Everybody. My favorite one is when they use the algae. Have you seen
yeah,
these?
that's what I was
I
just
haven't
something like
seen that,
seaweed
no.
or something.
Yeah, well, see, like any type of like small cell photovoltaic, like photosensitive cells, where they actually make solar panels out of algae, and then it becomes a culture. And I guess it would suck if your solar panel died, literally died, didn't go bad, but you know,
Yeah.
the algae died. But I mean, I imagine it's more stable than that. Like that would be a pretty poor design. But they've got all sorts of cool stuff going on. We're trying to use natural organisms to produce power or do whatever, eat plastic in the ocean or convert chemicals outside of a manufacturing environment. I don't know. They got some cool guys doing some cool stuff with biology.
Nice, yeah.
Almost seems like you could rip into a lot of these singular topics and probably make, you know, you could probably talk for an hour about.
Well, you could,
that.
but the problem is they've been working on these biofuels and these biosolutions for decades, and you still don't see any of them.
It's Brazil though is very big into
Brazil's-
ethanol.
Brazil's big
Brazil?
enough. I don't like ethanol because my problem with ethanol is when you start buying corn for fuel, you're encouraging farmers to just plant corn.
To plant more,
Because
yeah.
they're going to be a bigger market for corn. They're going to be able to sell more corn. And now you start hurting crop rotations. You start hurting the rest of the vegetable market. Like, why are they going to make okra
Yeah,
if they can sell corn for a premium to ExxonMobil?
yeah.
So I have a problem. Biofuel's great. That's fine. The ethanol, the corn-based ethanol is great. But I do have some concerns about the long-term viability of that. Plus, we got 8 billion people on the planet. Like, we're going to need that food. Like, we should
Yeah.
probably find a better way to make power.
Well, especially seaweed, because nobody eats seaweed, and there's lots of seaweed, right?
Yeah, seaweed. I mean,
But then, what do you do to the ecosystem when you start tapping into seaweed?
That would drive up the price of sushi.
Yes.
And we don't want that to happen.
I mean, you
And
got
just to be clear,
there's got to be a cause and effect there.
there's always a cause and effect. All I know is that's the ocean's problem.
Kind of like when we dump 1 million gallons of oil into it.
Don't care. Suck it, fish.
So I had it.
I didn't crawl out and get up here for nothing. Like you're
when
on your own.
when I used to bartend, I had a guy came in. He was he was an environmental engineer of some sort. I don't remember what. So he was explaining to me that when oil's dumped into the ocean, like the salt in the water, the ocean cleanses itself because of the salt. It's like acid. And then I was like, not really like in agreement. Then he said, if you set salt on a glass surface and you just leave it there, eventually it'll like eat it away.
Eat it away.
Like salt will just eat away anything.
I want to do that.
But I mean, you still have to. I mean, I don't know. It still
Well,
doesn't seem like a very.
I mean, anything
process to
plus
rely
time
on.
equals entropy. I mean, anything's going to get eaten away over enough time. And how much time is he talking? I mean, if he's saying that 100,000 gallons of oil is going to get eaten up in a week, I'm probably calling BS.
Yeah.
Now, if he's saying, yeah, give it 10 years, you won't even know what happened, I'll be like, yeah, that might be true. Like, you still got 10 years of oil in your ocean. I mean,
And what do you think the tsunami did that washed all the debris and houses and boats and cars and everything?
You mean down which tsunami?
the tsunami from?
Indonesia?
Yeah, that was the real big one a couple years
the big
ago.
one.
It washed like.
That pulled like half a city out to
Yeah,
sea.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's the new Atlantis.
Imagine that. Yeah.
Oh, that whole. All right, so I'm going to tell you a story. Don't judge me. All right.
You know we
But do you remember the Japanese?
that means I can judge.
You can judge me. You always judge me. You remember the Japanese nuclear reactor failure?
From the tsunami, yeah.
Yes, from the tsunami. So that happened at night. And it was probably about 8 o'clock at night or something like that. And I was with a bunch of buddies, and we were drinking. And they said in 6 hours it will reach the West Coast. So we spent the next 6 hours chanting tsunami, watching the news, and drinking beer until about 5 o'clock in the morning. And then you know what happened at 5 o'clock in the morning? There was a reporter in Seattle, and one slightly larger wave came up. And he goes, I think that was it. And that was it. And we were like, the sun's coming up. We stayed up all night for that one tiny wave.
Like you were playing the Ouija, the tsunami Ouija board.
Pretty much. Ouija. What are you?
It's a Ouija.
You know what? I'm not even responding to that one. I don't even know what you're talking about. So, all right. So biomass. Neither one of you seem to care about biomass.
I like biomass.
I don't have a problem with bio. I want to see more movement on it. Like some of this stuff drives me nuts. Like you have these great ideas, and then you don't see anything happen for like a decade. Like I'm old enough now that I've seen awesome ideas show up and then not go anywhere.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what?
What was the hype?
It was like 20 years ago. They was like, we've got atmospheric carbon scrubbers. We're going to start deploying them. I'm like, well, that seems like a good idea, right? I mean, it actually seems like a terrible idea because, I mean, I can see a lot of ways that goes wrong, but why not? Just give it a whirl. 20 years later, not a single one's made.
Yeah.
Nothing's happening. Like they're like, we don't know. We fell apart. We fell asleep. We got distracted. Somebody said squirrel. It's like, what happened? Like you guys were all fired up. Like you were doing cool stuff.
There's still one guy in his basement.
In his pits.
One guy.
Trying.
Well, isn't that always
One
the
guy.
case? We got like MIT, we got
Hey, it only-
Caltech, and we got like entire buildings filled with nerds, and it's always some half a bubble off dude with a little too much beard who invents it in his garage next to his Harley. Like
Yeah.
it's always the way it happens. It's like
It only ever takes one guy.
it only ever takes one, or one. I don't know where it's going with that. I have no idea.
That one guy.
I don't know.
One person.
One person,
It takes one person.
one human.
Oh yeah, you can't say guy anymore.
I mean, except that it usually is a guy. Because women are way too practical to hang out in their garage for 17 years tinkering at a concept that does absolutely nothing useful for them.
They gotta feed the kids and stuff.
They're like, we actually have real things to do, you morons.
Yeah.
Our sponsors are not going to be happy.
Depends who our sponsors are. Did Laughing Dog just drop us? Wait, we just insulted men.
Yeah, we did.
Women are way too smart to never pull that crap. No, some of this stuff though, I mean, we talked about the German solar toss, which was such a ridiculous thing, but I am happy. What Germany's doing is cool, and I hope it works out for them. The intermittent energy storage, I think, is the big thing with batteries. Mm-hmm. I don't know where are batteries going. Does anybody have an idea? I know. Did we talk on air about batteries, or is that us talking off the air?
We talked a little bit when we were talking about EVs. We were talking about battery and potential battery technology.
Because, but I think I was talking off the air about like long-term storage.
Mm-hmm. I think so.
Because I've read a lot about, and there are people doing some cool stuff. I don't know if there's any mass adoption. But did you look into any of that stuff?
I didn't. I didn't have a chance to.
Did you?
I looked into stuff, but not that stuff.
Okay. Because one of my favorites, I love this idea. I told you guys last week, but I didn't say it on air, so I'll say it again. Was the giant stone, the perfectly milled cylinder inside a perfectly milled cylinder, and the whole thing's the whole thing's magnetic and it's floating. Mm-hmm. I love that idea. So basically, what they do is they use the excess solar or wind or whatever that's being made throughout the day to slowly spin up this massive, like 50-ton, like piece of granite that is inside of an enclosed vacuum, so that there's no resistance. And throughout the day, it just spins faster and faster and faster until this thing's going like 50,000 RPM. It's just ripping. And then at night, when the sun goes down and the wattage drops to the floor from the renewables, they just have little, little generators that just touch the cylinder enough that it starts spinning the generator and it starts generating power. And you got 100 of these or 200 of these, and you start generating a ton of power, and it's a battery. And they stored power for long-term use later. And it's a tremendous amount of power. I mean, could you imagine like a 50-ton rock spinning at 50,000 RPMs?
That's a lot of energy.
That's a ton of energy.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I thought that was a really cool idea. And I mean, I like anything with magnets, so.
I think I could spin at 50,000 RPM.
It's
Next episode.
Spinning.
So wait, so the next episode we're gonna make Jimmy shoot electricity out of his ass and then spin at 50,000 RPM.
We could go to a merry-go-round. Let's see if I can spin you
I read somewhere
and
that
make you fly off.
I don't know if this is true. I'm hoping it's true. I read they banned merry-go-rounds in California
I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah,
because they were too dangerous.
they're
You
evil.
can't even play tetherball anymore.
What
At
the
school.
what?
Like,
Tetherball.
schools don't have tetherball anymore.
Why?
Tetherball's the best thing ever
I
made.
was saying that was awesome, but somebody
'Cause
I
you're-
guess didn't pay attention and got smacked in the face with the ball.
Of
Like every
course.
other kid ever.
You're encouraging punching.
I think it's the dangerous nature of the game.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of people get destroyed in tetherball.
Oh, you'd wail on that thing.
We'd wail on that. We'd
Oh.
intentionally try to hit each other.
Heck yeah, that's what you're supposed to do.
How if it
If you
anybody?
can hit a guy hard enough that he flies off his feet, you immediately win.
Yeah,
It
dude.
doesn't
If,
even matter.
if you get hurt playing tetherball, you're a freaking moron. And you deserve whatever it is you got, right? I mean, come on.
I feel like that's how you learn.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
You
That's
catch
what
a
you
couple
learn.
tether balls to the face, you're going to get quick. You're going to
Yeah.
get rocky quick, or you're going to learn that maybe you're more of a chess guy.
And you get better at dodgeball, right?
You'll get better
Yeah.
at dodgeball,
It's all kind of
better
benefits.
at love, life, philosophy. I mean, all things get better after you catch a tether ball to the face. I don't
Yeah.
understand. I mean,
I think it properly preps you for concussions because you can't possibly get a concussion from tetherball. It sort of graduates you. It's like that second layer up, you know?
I feel like we're going to have an entire generation of kids that never got to experience a concussion. I mean,
That's a shame.
it is a shame because they're kind of fun, especially when you come out the other side. And you're like, wait, what did I do? What did I say?
You start off by getting smacked upside the head, and you're like, right?
What is that face?
That's phase one of the
Of the concussion or the tether ball?
the concussion, like the
build
steps towards concussion. You know, building your tolerance to
I
concussion.
say you got to be able to take some smacks off the head.
I mean, you've
Tether.
had a concussion, right?
Tetherball. I think I did. One time we built we like where I used to live in Lebanon. We carved hills, you know, during winter. It was like down the mountain. It was a not a mountain, but a big hill, and we just carve out a path and build up berms and stuff, and we rock it through the trees.
Yeah.
So I went down there with some guys. It was after the snow started melting and it was sunny. And I stood at the top and I said, yeah, we're going to go down here, right? And you're going to hook this turn, hook that turn, and that third turn right there where that big tree stump's at. It looks like you're going to run into it, but you don't. You just hook. So I'm like, okay, you guys ready? Check it out. So I do this. I hook the first turn, hook the second, hook the third turn, smash my head off this stump.
Well,
And I'm, dude, I still got the bump today.
nice.
Back of my head.
Oh, I love permanent injuries. They're the
So-
best kind of injuries.
Yeah, and I was in fourth grade when that happened.
Oh,
And I'm pretty sure I got a concussion that day because I was like almost knocked out and dizzy and could barely walk home. So,
nice.
you know,
That's a
but
good one.
I got home, I laid down, and it was all good.
I had my favorite way to hurt myself. That wasn't a concussion this time. I've had like 8 concussions, but I was like sixth grade, and I went to visit one of my dad's friends, and his daughter was kind of hot. I mean, she was in like 5th grade. Like, I don't know what I thought was going to happen, but and she's like, "Hey, you skateboard?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I skateboard." I didn't skateboard. And she's like, "You want to go down Dead Man's Hill?" And I was like, "I'll go down Dead Man's Hill." Right? This hill was not a hill. This was just like, if you ever seen the Grand Canyon,
The vertical drop.
it learned to be the Grand Canyon from this hill. This hill was like its father and said, "Here's how you become the Grand Canyon." And it said, "Yes, Dad." And then this thing was made. So I did it because there was a hot
It was a
chick,
girl.
and that's what dumb guys do. And I'm flying down this hill, and I'm on. It's doing this thing,
Speed
and it's
wobbles.
bouncing, and I'm staying on it, right? And I get to the bottom, and it turns, and you're supposed to turn with it. Apparently, other kids can turn with it, and I just go right into the woods, and I'm just gone. So all the kids I'm with run away. And they just like they just ghost me.
He's dead.
And they're like, he's dead. We're just gonna pretend we didn't know him. Maybe nobody comes looking.
I wasn't there.
It's, it was a dangly broken arm, like compound fracture. There's like
Oh,
bits
wow.
sticking out. I had to get myself out of the woods. I was like, that was brutal.
Wow.
That was brutal. I'll never. That dad's driving me to the hospital because my mom's like, "Should we call an ambulance?" He's like, "I'm not paying for an ambulance."
Yeah. I guess needless to say, you never got that kiss, huh?
I also never. I was done with skateboarding.
Yeah.
I was like, you know what?
That was the last time.
Not my thing. I don't think this is really a thing I need to be doing. So, how about you? Any concussion stories?
I'm sure I've had a concussion, but no more diagnosed. But I got a pretty hard head too. Like I've had my bell rung before, but usually shots to the head don't really affect me too much.
Wow.
Yes.
All right, he's tougher than us.
No, it's just.
I don't know
thick
what.
skull.
I don't know that I ever had anything other than that thing that I would remotely link a concussion to.
I mean, I've probably had one at some point. I played football for years, and I've taken some ear hole shots.
When we used to play, they encouraged them. They're like, "Go get a concussion. It's smack in the butt."
Yeah, I was saying.
Yeah.
My son got a concussion. He got rocked pretty good.
Oh yeah.
So he was playing a soccer game and he like fell down, got back up, and it was a bouncing ball, and the guy like launched it on the bounce.
Mm-hmm.
He kicked it like a punt, and as he got up, his face was right there. He
Oh,
was
no.
He was like
Right in the
2
face.
feet away, and it just blasted him in the head and knocked him clean back over.
That is
And,
brutal.
like he tried to get up and he stumbled and fell, and yeah, he had to stay
You
off.
can't laugh until you know he's okay. But then you can.
Yeah, it was a blast. Yes.
It was a blast. You're an animal. I love it.
He was all right though. I was glad he was all right, but I could see that it was
Well,
definitely.
I was always
he really-
shocked at how many guys I knew who played soccer would end up with concussions.
I mean, it's pretty highly likely, especially if you head the ball and stuff.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
they were always blasting us on the football team.
For getting concussions.
But we had helmets on at least.
Yeah.
Like we were at least like
We tried
we were
something.
trying. You guys put on like one knee pad, and then you're like leading with your head everywhere.
Yeah, it's. This probably might be a little more common in soccer. I think.
I think soccer is one of the bigger. Like they always talk about football first, but soccer, jet skiing is a big concussion.
Oh, dude, it's
Really?
dude,
Well,
it
'cause you're always-
sucks to wreck.
It's just the
wreck
action
'em.
of your brain hitting, your skull.
I can
And
see
think
that.
about when you're jet skiing, you're doing all that bouncing.
Dude,
and
it
stuff.
really
Well,
hurts
you
to
gotta
wreck.
use your knees. You gotta really ride into it.
It really hurts to wreck on water, doesn't it?
It does hurt to wreck. It feels like concrete.
You think it's going to be okay,
Yeah.
like you're just going to plunge right through, man. But
Gotta remember,
it's like hitting a
water
freaking
moves
wall,
mountains.
man. What's
It
that?
carves mountains.
Wiser words.
Yeah.
Wow,
Never been spoken.
wow,
Soft and as hard as water.
You know my
Wow.
my wife won't ride a jet ski
that's deep.
because the first time I ever took her out on one, I
Oh yeah,
skid stopped and she flew off.
really?
And she thought I did it on purpose. I did. And now she will not go on one. And I'm like, they're the greatest things on earth. They're water motorcycles. Why
But
would you not go on one? And she's
Yeah.
like, because of that one time. She hangs it over my head.
That one time,
That one time where you threw me off the jet ski.
she loves you anyway, though.
I'm not sure anymore.
She probably loves you just because of that.
You think so? I think
Yeah.
that's where I won her over.
Mm-hmm.
It was before we were married.
Yeah,
So she still went through with it afterwards.
yeah. She knew what she said. She said, "Oh yeah, this guy thinks he's gonna get rid of me."
I'm hitching my wagon to his jet ski
I'm gonna marry.
via a grossly overinflated.
I'm gonna marry this son of a bitch.
So,
what she
well,
said.
she won.
No,
She got the prize.
And
She
then
got
I'm-
all this.
and then I'm gonna because he obviously needs to be forged into a good man.
Forged. I'm the best man. Get out of here. I'm like that mountain's daddy's mountain of men from my earlier story. You know what I'm talking about. I don't know what I'm talking about. All right, we're out of time here. Final thoughts, guys. What do you got?
I never get to my list.
Should we go back to coal? What else you got on your list? Something else you want to talk about?
We're out of time.
Well, no, you got something there? What do you got?
Yeah, I got a whole list.
Well, you don't have to do the whole list, but you got something you want to kick in?
Okay,
we,
well,
we were talking about soccer headbutts for a while there. You could have jumped in on your list.
No, I feel so disappointed in myself.
You
Shouldn't have participated in the frivolous speaking.
It's the frivolities.
All right, so I just the couple things, just a couple technologies. So that I thought was interesting. So solar panels are typically 20% efficient. That's sort of the standard that I guess we're working off of as far as
Okay.
gauging new technology. I don't know how that is across the board with different panels, but it seems to be.
I thought it had gotten higher, but
Yeah, and I don't even know.
I don't remember.
Okay.
I'm going to take your word for it.
We'll go with 20%.
20%.
So solar paint now is something they're working on.
Yeah, I've read about it, but I haven't. How does it work?
Just basically it's got whatever, some kind of fragments in it that you
How
put
do you
over
harness
top.
the power, though? Does it have to be painted on a specific substrate?
It sounds to me like you actually do your aesthetic paint, and then you come in with this over top of it, and then this has whatever chips in it.
But
that
don't
are-
you have to hook wires to
That's-
it to
yeah,
get it
that's
into
what I
the
kinda
grid?
thought.
Well, I don't know because probably. I mean, I guess so. There's probably it's similar to like a solar panel. There's it's probably the flex or the materials that are in it or
Okay.
generating. They're absorbing the rays, and then they probably have a box or something hooked to it.
Okay.
I just imagine it to be a conductor with a box and power running off of it.
Okay.
But so we're getting 3 to 8% energy.
3 to 8.
Yeah.
Which is not bad
Efficiency
for
off
just
that.
putting some paint on.
Yeah, I mean,
that's not bad.
if you're painting, if you take that, let's say you put panels on your roof and then you add that. I mean, you're just so if you did all these items, then you have solar windows, right? So solar windows.
I think the solar windows are going to be huge. I think eventually everybody will have solar windows,
So solar windows are 11.3% efficiency.
which is pretty darn good for something that's transparent.
Yeah. So now if you you're talking building envelopes. So now you're renovating your building. So you panels, paint, solar. So if you take everything in, conjunction or together, I don't know if conjunction's the right word, but I think that's pretty interesting that you can sort of slowly build this package out where you're just adding to, generating power.
I'm sorry, all I heard is you talking about my package.
Package.
So.
Jesus. It's a good package.
What else you got?
All right.
I like the solar paint. I like the solar windows. The paint, I don't understand how it works, but
the solar windows is like a coating. It seems like it's a coating they put over, like they would put it over
can
top
you
of.
convert your existing windows to solar windows?
That's what it seems like.
Oh, that's kind of
And-
cool.
and
I thought you had
then-
to put new windows in.
Well, and so then what happens is that kind of doubles up because what that does is it's actually they call it it's switch glaze. So they put this. If I'm understanding correctly, they put this tint on the windows, and then when the sun comes out, it actually darkens, and that's when it's engaging,
Okay.
right? And then when that happens, now you're blocking out sunlight from the interior, which is also conserving energy. So now you're
Okay.
getting an energy benefit. So now you're talking like, let's say we want to cool down, a building envelope. We go up, we put a white roof on it. Then you put solar panels on, whichever's left. Now you put solar paint on. Now you put windows. So now you've increased from. So now you got 20% on your panels. You got, let's just call it 5 on the paint, 25, and now
You
you're
can
adding.
just put solar paint on the roof too, right?
Right. So yeah, just everything together. Now you add, if it's 11%, we'll just use 10, 30, 35.
Like he's gonna finish with a number and be like, "This is what you owe me, Craig," and I'm like, "Damn it!"
So now you've got 35% efficient building structure that's, not only generating electricity, but also reducing electricity through white roofing systems. Your solar panels have to be reducing the electric or the power that you're using to cool the facility as well, and heat, right? It's creating some kind of buffer. And then the windows on top of it also creating a buffer too. So
Here's a.
I think that's pretty interesting.
It is pretty interesting.
I
How
like
it starts to
solar
come together.
paint, and
Yes.
I haven't been able to figure out how it ties into like your electrical system, but
Okay.
it's essentially absorbing moisture from the air, and then converting, splitting the moisture into hydrogen and oxygen.
Get out of here.
That's what this is saying.
That's what your paint is doing.
Yep,
So the paint in my house is smarter than me if I use this.
that's what it sounds like.
Well,
It's
that's
the hydrogen can then be used to produce clean energy.
That is awesome.
You can buy it
It's,
at Lowe's.
we should go get some. For the next show, we'll paint Jimmy. So-
While he sticks his finger in the electrical outlet. Which is
All
more
right.
efficient.
You're gonna need more beers. All right. Do we have any final thoughts before we wrap this thing up?
No?
What else do you have?
All right.
Anything else worth talking about?
I got, we talked, infrared solar panels are coming. I'm picking up infrared. I don't know if that's a huge deal or not, but that means
infrared's going to be lower energy because infrared's a lower energy spectrum, but I mean, doesn't hurt.
No.
I mean, harness all of it. I mean, the ultraviolets are really the ones that, because that's on the higher energy spectrum. You're going to be able to get more out of it.
Along with solar balloons, the other things on my list that I didn't get to was solar roads,
I have seen those.
which I don't know exactly what that was.
They're painted with solar paint.
Same thing.
I don't actually.
It'd be your coatings and stuff, but that's going to wear off pretty good.
I'm not sure how they're
Solar
doing
roads.
them. What I do know, though, is that the idea is to have them feed everything along the road, street lights and everything else, and then bleed back into the grid. So, which I got to do some research on how exactly they're going to make the road.
Line paint,
But-
I think, would be better because it's not driven on, right? So if like the line paint things that on the sides of the
What
roads,
roads do you drive on?
huh?
What roads do you drive on?
Well,
Everyone's playing that line.
well, they do, but if you are putting like sealer on something, like sealing your driveway, like that's gonna wear off when where you're driving more than where you're not. So if they had like shoulders or I don't know how they would do that. I didn't get to look into it, so I hate that I can't really talk about it.
I bet it's magnets. But I always say it's magnets. So,
And I saw something about solar water too.
solar
Water.
water.
Unfortunately,
Isn't all water solar?
I mean, if it's not, then it's ice.
Because doesn't it then evaporate
Yeah.
from the sun?
Jimmy, you pulling one over on us?
Yeah, I feel like he's.
I didn't get into it. I didn't read into it. So
What's wrong with you and your
I guess
solar
we may have to may have to do another solar
We
episode
may. And we'll talk about solar trees,
because I didn't even get into the cars.
solar elephants.
So, but yeah, we'll end it there.
All right. You got any last thoughts?
No, that's it. I'm good.
All right, I've said everything I have to say. Everyone, thank you. Jimmy, Tyler, Craig. See you next week. Peace out.
The Broken Agenda Podcast. Sponsored by Laughing Rock Technology.